Join us.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back once again to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, we're going to add the next figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this time it is going to be the Dark Detective Batman from the Future State storyline. Now this is another one of these figures that it's a newer storyline from the comics, and they're basically taking the character from the pages and putting it in figure form, which is something I really enjoy about the DC Multiverse line from McFarlane. Now, I actually don't know too much about this guy, but he looks pretty grimy in the packaging, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now, these are not really needed, but sometimes they come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you have an image there of the figure, but enhanced. And on the back, you do have some information. Now, this is actually Bruce Wayne. In this storyline, he's pretty much been ratted out, and everybody knows that he was Batman. So he's pretty much gone underground, stealth mode, and fighting crime from down below in the gutters of Gotham City. So pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know much about it, but it sounds pretty cool. Now he does come with one accessory, and that is this kind of like grapple rope that I figure he, carries along with his arsenal. This is a more like implementing like handmade stuff and like stuff built on his own on the run. So you have more like I would say more realistic and more gritty, armory that he has. A lot of custom work going on there, but this one does have a sort of grapple and rope. No paint apps, but that's not too hard to fix. We could add a little bit of paint to this guy. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. Starting off first impressions, I'm actually really digging the whole figure, like just standing straight up and down, like without moving him around too much. Just a real cool presence and unique, style to the character. Like the way he's just gotten down and dirty and made his costume out of parts he could just find. Looks pretty interesting. Like the head sculpt with the like half cowl. Now I'm not too big of a fan of the open ears, but it is different, and we'll take a closer look at that when we take a look at the head. But first impressions, it looks pretty good, pretty interesting looking character, so not too shabby. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the head. As I said, I like the grimacing sculpt work that they did. The mouth looks a little funky, but it kind of works. I'm not too big of a fan of like grimacing figures. I don't know why. I'll accept it if that's what they decided to go with, but for some reason it really works on this guy. I could see him like jumping through the air, like getting ready to attack somebody, or like being, hunkered down behind some stuff and in a fight like in the shadows and stuff. It looks pretty cool. Like it does have a lot of detail on the actual cowl. You have those ears sticking out, Reminds me of a wrestler I used to know. But yeah, pretty sweet. Now, he actually does look up really well. And then he looks down to the right, to the left. And then you can tilt his head for some character. Now, surprisingly, the ball inside of the neck port is a little bit tight. So I kind of feel like if you heated him up and, moved him around, you could get a little bit more movement out of him. So we'll check that out later on. But all in all, pretty happy with the head. Now moving down to the costume, open up the coat and you have a spray painted emblem on this like armor, which is pretty much fits with the character. You know, he has to make stuff on his own, so I like that. Then the whole, you know, trench coat is actually sculpted really well, and it does have a little bit of like detailing and wash. Let me break out the on here so I could point this out. Just all the sculpt work, even on the sleeves, and moving to the back, he also has a lot of stitch work and stuff. Really nice, really cool work that they did there. Now, as far as the arms go, you do have the bushing discs in there, and then you have the butterfly shoulder joint, so you actually get front to back a little, and then not really up and down, but you can move his arm up. Now here's one of the problems, is that he has this rubber plate here, and it will slide up, like up here onto his collar, but you can't get it to go all the way up. But the way you can kind of bypass that is if you slip the pad this way and then pop his arm out this way, then you kind of get kind of a T-pose, but it's a little bit at an angle. But that's just you working with the sculpt work, you know, where it doesn't have so much range. You can actually move it around to get yourself, you know, he could move his arm straight up. So it's not really too much of a deterrent. It's just that you have to work with it and be careful not to pop out that arm by forcing it where it doesn't want to go. But of course, if you were to pop it out, you could just pop it back in. That's the beauty of the way McFarlane makes these arm joints, that they'll pop, but they won't actually snap like some other companies do. Now taking a look at the bicep swivel. Now he does have a bicep swivel, but the same thing, if you were to heat it up, you would probably get more range, more, you know, swivel out of it. But I can actually get it to go almost all the way around here. So it's a pretty good bicep cut. You just gotta work with it. Now he does have double jointed elbows. Now, looking at the back here, I think they kind of messed up at the factory, because they actually painted a part of the elbow that could actually go flesh, because when you hinge it, it's not really supposed to be painted. It's supposed to be flesh colored. So I might try removing that, and then we'll see how it looks, you know, taking off that white paint, because you can see it is painted on, and the elbow is actually molded in just flesh colored plastic. So I'll tackle that later on. It's not a big thing, but it's just something that irritates me, so I'll have to fix that. Now, I really love these gauntlet blades on the forearms. I don't know what it is about these, but they just look really cool. Like the way the blades attach themselves to the gauntlet, it's just really clean, and it does have like sculpt work on it. I wouldn't mind them using these on another figure. Probably look pretty cool. And then you go into the hands. Now, something pretty interesting, the gloves are actually like a little bit of dark blue color, which is kind of a throwback to the first appearance of Batman, where his gloves were kind of like purplish. But it's actually a cool little detail that you would never really notice. But you do get the articulation in the wrist with the ball joint. And he does have one fisted hand, and then one in kind of like a trigger hand, but you could use it to hold objects. You could even heat it up and kind of get the fingers, instead of, you know, like this, you could kind of get them together, so he has more of like an open clasp hand. That's just something that you'd want to do that, but it's fine for me. But all in all, really nice design, really cool detail. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the belt. Man, this is actually one of the better belts I've seen. You have like a lot of pouches and canisters. You got a cool buckle that's kind of like an off gold here, going down into like a rope on his right side, and on his left he has kind of like a gun pouch, but it looks like it's just empty, like there's nothing in there, or they could kind of be like a kind of grapnel that's in there. But all of that could use some extra paint, like to differentiate it from what's leather and what's rope and what's actual like straps and stuff. So I might look into doing that custom work. All in all, really love this belt. This is like an awesome belt. Now, let's take a look at the thighs. Now, he does have the traditional McFarlane thigh swivel, but he also has a thigh cut. So you can actually use both of those to get the position you want for his legs. So that's pretty cool because now you're getting like a double, way to articulate the legs. But I still like to use the thigh swivel. But if you ever wanted to use the thigh cuts, you could. And actually, I think that there's going to be a different version of this figure, like without the jacket. And then also maybe there's going to be a vehicle. So that might be why they gave him the thigh cuts, which will be pretty interesting to look forward to. So I'll also be picking up those if they ever release them. Now moving down, I just love all the detail they have. It just looks great. This is just turning out to be a awesome figure once I get it in hand. Now, I watch a lot of reviews a lot of the times, and I've actually seen where people don't like this figure. So I'm kind of like thinking, well, that's cool, that they have their own ideas, but I have my own brain. So when I actually get them in hand, I make up my own mind if I like it or not. And sorry guys, but I'm actually really loving this figure. He looks really cool, nice concept, nice design, and I'm actually having a ton of fun just having him in hand. So I don't know what you guys are smoking, but I actually love this guy. Now you can move his leg out, and he does have double jointed knees. Moving down to the feet, you do have up and down. It's a little bit restricted because of the way they constructed the boot here, but I mean, you get enough out of it. You do have left to right, and then you do actually have a pretty nice rocker, and then of course toe articulation. Now before we move on, just looking at all the detail, like in the shin guards, there's pouches actually like around his calves and straps, the armor that goes over his boots, up into the thighs and stuff. This is just beautiful sculpt work, beautiful use of the design in the comics. It's just, I can't, I can't prop it up enough. It's awesome. And you actually, with the way they do the trunks in that rubber, you actually get a lot of leg movement in here. If you want to, you could kick all the way back like that. So you get more movement than people give him credit for. Now let's actually look at the waist. Now he does have side to side. He does have a lower swivel and a chest swivel. So you got 2 points of articulation there. Now he actually crunches way forward. Look at that, almost like an L. Look at that. But leaning back, I think his cape is kind of like pushing him. You lean him back and he would stay there, but with the cape, it kind of like pushes him back forward. But you could lean him back enough if you really want to. And also you can twist him to get him in some really cool poses. So all in all, really happy with this guy. He's, pretty fun. Now taking a look at the bottom, me, I love me some boot tread. So he has that. And then moving up the back, more nice sculpt work, more detail, where you won't even see it if you don't raise the coat, but you got all that detail. You got some pouches in the back and even some throwing knives or like batarangs stashed in there. All of that could use some detail paint. And like I said before, the coat is actually pretty sweet. It's a soft rubber in the bottom, and then it gets a little bit stiff as it goes up, but it does have a little light gray wash. So you get a little bit of detail of all the folds, but you could also see a lot of stitch work, in there. Man, this guy's really, really cool. All in all, this is turning out to be one of my favorite figures. It's pretty crazy because I never expected it, because a lot of people kind of talk down on this one, but I really love him. Pretty cool. I even heard a reviewer say that, oh, well, this guy's articulation is really bad, so basically if you want him just to stand straight up in your shelf, then that's as much as he's gonna do. And I really have to disagree with that, because actually you can get him in some cool like poses, like crunch down forward, And I took in some pictures of him, and actually he has a lot of articulation, a lot of movement where you could put him on the shelf doing different stuff. So I don't really see where these people are coming from, but this guy has tons of possibilities of how to pose him. Give him some different weapons, he'll look pretty awesome. So this is more like a street level crime fighter. So I am really pleased with this guy. Now, he did come with his like rope with kind of a grapple on it, and you can't stick that into the hand. But I think this guy, for me, he feels more like he should have kind of like a rifle, or maybe like a shotgun or something like that. Something more street level. But we'll get into that. If I do some custom work on this guy, I'll make a video of it. But for right now, he's going to be an awesome addition to the collection. I actually can't wait, because there's like some other figures on this same storyline, which is actual Batman from the storyline, which is one of Lucius Fox's sons or grandson or something like that. And then also you have the Ghostmaker, which I'm really interested to take a look at. But yeah, all in all, pretty cool, pretty awesome. Pick this one up. He's highly underestimated. I really dig him. You guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.